Hey guys, welcome to Wrestling Days and welcome to a very different video. This is a super hard video to make because we're not actually going to be looking at that many figures. We're going to be talking about figures, and I am fully aware that does not sound like fun, but there is one question I get asked all the time, and I just cannot afford to reply to every single person that asks this very good question. So it makes sense to just put it in a video and put it out there. And the question is, why do Mattel make so many exclusives? I've tried to do this video several times before this, and the video has gone 15-20 minutes because I have got so much to say on this subject, but I don't want to waffle. I don't want to just go on for the sake of going on. So I'm going to try and keep this as short and as concise as I can, because there's actually a very good reason for exclusive figures. But do not get confused at how frustrated I am as well, because here in the UK, we don't have Walmart, we don't have Target, we don't have Walgreens, we don't have GameStop. I think we used to have GameStop, but I don't believe we have GameStop anymore. So a lot of the places that get exclusive figures, we don't have. And we can't get those figures. We can't shop around. There's nowhere to shop around. We would have to buy them from America, from places like Ringside, and then get them shipped over. That puts the price up. WrestlingShop.com, that I do a lot of work with, I'm a big fan of those guys because, to my knowledge, they're the only UK retailer that stock a lot of these exclusives. I'm not aware of anywhere else that sells Hall of Champions or the Walgreens women's division figures. You have to go to these kinds of places. They work very hard to get this stuff in. But of course, they're having to buy it up front and then ship it in themselves, and that puts the price up. So in America, where exclusive figures are, say, $20, $25, here in the UK, they're like $45, $50, and we don't even use dollars. So it's crazy. The whole thing is a mess. But there are some very good reasons why Mattel make exclusive figures. So let's try and work our way through it. First of all, the retailers love them. The retailers want them. If you had your own shop, you would want them because you want that item that you can't get from anywhere else. And that's what exclusives are. You have to go there to get it because you can't get it anywhere else. And what they're hoping is that you will go into the shop, buy that figure, and then buy a second figure, or buy a candy bar, or buy a dress. I don't know why I thought of a dress, but I thought of a dress. They're hoping that you will buy a second item. And so that's why retailers love them. And that's why it frustrates collectors. Because retailers don't care about collectors. They're not thinking, but this is going to make it harder for people. They don't think that way. They don't care. So that's why collectors get super frustrated. And collectors think that that's the only reason. But it isn't. There's actually, arguably, a more important reason, a bigger reason why Mattel make exclusives. And it's this. Number 2, manufacturing. The making of a figure. Now, if you think about those figures that are available everywhere, in all the Walmarts, in all the Targets, in Canada, England, Europe, Australia, you have got to make a lot of figures. I wouldn't even know the number. I'd be guessing at like 70, 80,000 for each individual figure. Like, you are really having to spend a lot of money on making a lot of figures. So those figures had better sell. They had better sell. And you are only going to sell those figures and that amount of figures if that superstar is on TV right now. The truth is that the legends don't sell as well. Maybe an Ultimate Warrior would, maybe an Undertaker would, maybe a Hulk Hogan would, but Harley Race, George the Animal Steel, Even Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. These are iconic names. This is no disrespect to them as wrestlers. They are amongst the best wrestlers of all time. I mean, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, straight away you think his feud with Ric Flair, you think WrestleMania 3. But in truth, he's not been on TV for years. The younger fans that are coming through don't know about Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, or if they do know about him, they're not spending their $20 on a Ricky the Dragon figure. They want AJ Styles. They want Kevin Owens. They want the superstars that they can see on TV. That is fact. That is not me speculating. That is shown in the numbers. There's a reason why you get the same names in the core lines. AJ Styles, Kevin Owens. These same names keep reappearing because they're on TV all the time, and those figures will sell. They have international appeal. The sad truth is, and I'm sorry if this is going to burst any bubbles, but if Mattel didn't have exclusives, they would not make the figures. They wouldn't make the figures. They couldn't make the figures. You could not make 70, 80,000 King Harley races. They would shelf warm. And that is too much money for Mattel to have tied up. Like, they need to have cash flow. They need to have money that they can spend on future figures. If you've spent a load on Harley Race and he's just sat in all the shops around the world, there's a big problem there, because what happens is those figures then have to go clearance. Mattel lose money, and honestly, they just can't afford to keep doing that. And now with Toys R Us gone as well, I mean, shelf space is so important. Each shop will only give Mattel so much room, so you better have the best figures in that space at all time. You can't have Harley Race on every shelf around the world, because that not only is tying up money, but it's also taking up shelf space. And I know I'm using Harley Race all the time, but there's a reason for that, because there are some figures that are exclusives that absolutely shouldn't have been. I'm sure a lot of you are shouting Pete Dunne at the screen right now, because Pete Dunne is a very, very interesting figure. That is an NXT UK superstar. That is someone you can only watch if you have the network. He's never used on the main roster. He made an appearance at the Royal Rumble this year. That was his biggest, probably, wrestling moment. I'm sure if you speak to Pete Dunne himself, he would say his biggest moment was walking out at the Royal Rumble. But Mattel, and this is the third reason why they have exclusives, Mattel work 12 months in advance. Mattel don't know what's going to happen with certain superstars. There's every chance Pete Dunne, just stays in NXT UK. And how can they know a year ago how popular he would be right now? How many people would buy that figure? It's the great unknown. You're not going to take the risk. You're not going to make 70, 80,000 Pete Dunnes, because it's a gamble. And honestly, why gamble? You might as well, for his first figure, test the water. Test the water. Make 10,000. Make 10,000. Make it an exclusive. See how it does. And then you'll know better for the second figure. And that really is how Mattel has to work. If Mattel took gambles all the time with, like, the NXT figures, the NXT TakeOver figures, they are fantastic. But 12 months ago, when Mattel started working on them, all of those superstars were in NXT. And NXT you can only watch if you've got the NXT network. You can maybe see highlights on YouTube, and there's people that know about them, but honestly, they have got a lot of data that shows that NXT talent sells X amount. It sells 30,000 for each figure. Well, if you've got to make 70, 80,000, you're gonna shelf warm, and you cannot take that risk. Ruby Riott, her second figure won't be an exclusive. Aleister Black, his second figure won't be an exclusive. Pete Dunne, his second figure won't be an exclusive. They will be in those main lines, because they're going to prove that they sell. They're going to prove that the demand is there, and Aleister Black is being used on the main roster all the time now. Ruby Riott is being used a lot more on the main roster now. Pete Dunne, the outrage that people couldn't find that figure, that will have got through to Mattel. But they can't afford to gamble on all of these figures and make 80,000 of each one. They don't have the money. They don't have the shelf space. And that's the truth. The truth is, if Mattel didn't make exclusive figures, you wouldn't get the range. You wouldn't get the range. That's it. And that is it, guys. That is everything I wanted to say. I know I said I wasn't going to waffle. I think I still did, but I really wanted to get this video out there. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like. Hit the subscribe if you haven't already. And hopefully, I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.